Good evening, and thank you, Brad, for the kind introduction. I am so pleased to be able to celebrate the important mission and work of the Denver Rescue Mission. There is so much work to do. The state of homelessness in Denver is as challenging as it's ever been. In the 2022 point in time count, we were able to measure how much we had seen an increase in homelessness during this pandemic. And we saw a 15% increase in the 2022 one-night count compared to the 2020 one-night count. This is not a perfect number, but it gives us a sense of the magnitude of increase that we've seen. Of course, on any given night, that can be much more, and we certainly felt that in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic and our emergency response. It's not surprising that a global pandemic has made homelessness worse here in Denver and across the nation. When people were out of work unexpectedly and struggling to make rent, as housing costs here in Denver particularly have continued to climb. What we do know is that while encampments are certainly an ongoing and growing challenge here in Denver, the vast majority of people experiencing homelessness are sheltered. They are going to places like what the Denver Rescue Mission offers each evening. It's about 3/4 of our folks experiencing homelessness seeking shelter here, as we see in the point in time count. And with housing costs staying so out of reach for so many with limited incomes, we are needing to do more than ever to resolve each episode of homelessness. We have held 2 housing surges that have helped place nearly 1,200 people in homes over the course of 100 days. This is partners like the Denver Rescue Mission coming together and seeing how they can match the people on the prioritized housing list with a housing resource and get them placed and leased. This successful effort shows that when we all contribute, we can continue to do more of what we do every day and better. With housing costs, we also need to look at innovative ways other than our emergency response to meet some of the needs of our residents experiencing homelessness. And so we are doing something that the mayor talked about in his State of the City address this summer, which is to invest in basic income. We are putting forward $2 million in recovery funds to help fund women and families that have been in shelter so that they can help pursue and are resourced to pursue housing, food security, and employment. We're really excited to see how this investment pans out. We have also invested in the Housing to Health program. The U.S. Department of Treasury has put forward $6 million to help us build on the models that we tested and proved to be remarkably successful in the Denver Social Impact Bond. This is the idea that we put people in housing, wrap them with services, and we're able to see cost savings in other emergency services such as emergency rooms and our jail system. With this investment, we'll help serve another 125 households experiencing homelessness with housing and those support services. And because of that investment of the Treasury, be able to help inform federal policy about how housing and supportive services can help resolve homelessness, yes, and also reduce healthcare costs. We're excited about this here in Denver as well. The City of Denver and the Denver Rescue Mission have partnered together for many years. When Denver Human Services was overseen by Rox White, the Denver Rescue Mission stood up and helped to create the first overnight shelter in the Denver Castro building where Human Services are held. They also went on to help us with one at Mile High United Way, as well as in the future in rec centers. The Denver Rescue Mission also helped with then Mayor Hickenlooper's FISHY program, the Families and Seniors in Homelessness Initiative. And this initiative really paired the faith communities with our folks experiencing homelessness and the nonprofits serving them, helping with deposit, some small rental assistance, and proving that we could serve thousands of people and get them back into housing rapidly in just a few years. We also know that we need to continue partnering today. And while we've done many investments over the past few years, one that I want to speak to is the 48th Avenue Center, a 24/7 facility for men experiencing homelessness. The evolution to 24/7 around-the-clock shelter has been life-changing for our guests. Now guests can rely on a bed every night in the same place. They have security in knowing that they have a place to sleep, to keep their belongings stored safely, and to get meals in the same spot. And that means that case managers and shelter workers can reliably locate guests and help them with documentation, applications on their journeys to housing. These impacts have been huge, and they would not be possible without the hard work and the possibility thinking of the Denver Rescue Mission. We also worked together last year on some very important renovations to the Lawrence Street shelter. The Denver Rescue Mission team added a front entrance ramp and an elevator that allow more guests to easily access shelter and services. Moreover, the space is brighter and welcoming, and we all have that shared responsibility to ensure that those experiencing homelessness are treated with dignity and compassion, something the Denver Rescue Mission does so well. So as we look into the future, there is much to be done. We know what works, and we're doing more of it. Homelessness is a complex issue, something Mayor Hancock would say is one of the most complex issues he's had to address in public life. But at the end of the day, lasting solutions to homelessness are built on housing with supportive services. We know this, and we can do more of this. As we look to the past, during this Hancock administration, we have worked with partners like the Denver Rescue Mission to move more than 13,000 individuals and families out of homelessness and into housing. And we have funded nearly 9,000 affordable homes here in Denver. Here's what else I know about the Denver Rescue Mission. Whoever the next Denver mayor is, some 304 days from now, and whatever challenges lie ahead, the Denver Rescue Mission is going to show up. They're going to be there for our most vulnerable residents. And we know this because during COVID, we were shoulder to shoulder, finding places for auxiliary and temporary shelter. Brad and Tracy and Josh and I were in the bowels of many different buildings here in Denver trying to find the right place that we could serve people with more space and create physical distancing in the COVID-19 pandemic. We also saw Denver Rescue Mission show up to the frontline positions before we knew about masking or had any kind of vaccine. And even when we had to call in the literal troops, the National Guard, to help, to back us up, the Denver Rescue Mission showed up and shouldered the work of running shelter and keeping people safe and helping our soldiers and how to do it as well. When our city and community needed people at the front lines of one of the most pressing issues at the most pressing time, Denver Rescue Mission was there, and I am certain they will be there into the future as we've seen these past 130 years. So thank you for having me. Congratulations on 130 years of having real tangible impacts on the lives of people here in Denver. And I look forward to continuing our partnership and realizing a healthy, housed, and connected Denver together. Congratulations.